Creative Living, utilizing today's technology with the best of the past to bring you innovative ideas and up-to-date information for creative lifestyles in today's active world. With your host, Sheryl Borden.
I'm so glad you joined me today for Creative Living. We're going to learn how to make a Bella stash bag and demonstrate meals for vegetarians or anyone who enjoys good, wholesome nutrition. One of my guests today is Karina Gardner, and she's a designer and owner of Karina Gardner Incorporated and Cartabella Paper Company. Karina's going to show how to teach children to sew by using a simple bag pattern she created. She'll also show how to make the bag without a pattern. She covers all the basics of sewing in this project, and she's from Salt Lake City, Utah. My first guest today is Bonnie Matthews, and she's the co-founder of Freeka Foods. Bonnie says that Freeka is the perfect whole grain for vegetarians because it's flavorful and still provides an abundance of nutrients such as protein and fiber that can be difficult to find as a vegetarian. She lives in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Bonnie, thank you so much for being here. It seems like when I cook, I've always got chicken or turkey, sometimes leftover roast or something, and I put that in almost every recipe. But for people who are vegetarians, they are always looking for recipes just like everybody else is. And we're going to use a special whole grain that's almost called a perfect whole grain called Freeka.
Yep, it's a roasted grain. It's been around for about 2,000 years from the Middle East, but nobody really knew about it in the U.S. until recently, and it's awesome. It has a really nice texture, kind of like a wheat berry texture. And
it was sort of discovered by accident. There was a big fire that burned down the crop.
Yeah, these villagers had a conflict like 2,000 years ago, and one of them burnt the other guy's wheat fields while they were still green and immature. And they were left with these roasted grains. So they started rubbing off the chaff, and they were like, well, let's cook it up. And they were like, hey, this is delicious. Good. And Freeka actually means to rub in Arabic, so they rubbed off the burnt part, and they still make it today in small batches over there as like kind of like what we do with turkey with Thanksgiving. They kind of do it as they call it like the first offering.
Oh, okay. And it's actually grown in the United States. A lot of it grown in California, I understand.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. And you, as I understand it, you can substitute it for rice or couscous in any recipe.
Absolutely. If you're vegetarian, or even if you're not, but if you're looking to add more fiber and protein into your diet, this is a great new grain to play with because it has 8 grams of protein and 4 grams of fiber.
Per serving.
So it helps you stay feeling full, and it's just a really fun vehicle to add other stuff to because it absorbs a lot of flavor that you bring to it. But it also comes in flavors too.
Well, show us how you cook it.
So so you start out with a bag of Freeka, and there's 1 cup of dry product in there, and you cook it just like rice. You add 2.5 cups of liquid. I sometimes use water or broth, and you pour it in there and bring it to a boil, and then just let it simmer for about 20-25 minutes.
Oh, it is about the same amount of time as rice.
And then I've pre-cooked this for some really yummy vegetarian stuffed peppers.
So this is the original.
Yep, this is just the plain one.
It's a nice golden color rather than the white, like the white rice.
It's really interesting. And then I'm adding some garlic. And by the way, this garlic, you know, it comes in these little packets nowadays. You can get it in. You can find it in the produce department, and it's got the peeling already taken off, and they last a really good long time in the fridge, which is awesome.
Saves your hands getting quite as garlicky.
So that's a real time saver. And I'm going to put in some fresh tomatoes in here, and a little jar of whatever kind of salsa that you like. Throw that in there. This one's super easy.
If you like spicy, this would be a good way to get those extra spices in there, wouldn't it?
And some corn. I just used some frozen corn that I thawed out a little bit and mix that up in there. And then I'm adding, if you dare, I'm adding a little bit of jalapeno in there. Dice that up and put that in there. And a little bit of chili powder.
And again, maybe start with a little bit and add a little bit more.
Yeah, just a little bit. Not much, just a little. And then I'm going to add some beans because I'm always looking for more protein. And especially for this, it's like a really delicious, hearty meal that's great, like with some salad on the side or some broccoli. And so there's so many awesome beans out there. You know, like if you go out to eat, it seems like most people cook with black beans, which are delicious. But there's these other ones called aduki that have 7 grams of protein, and they're kind of small.
So you're really adding more protein to an already high protein dish.
And they're really flavorful. So I've rinsed those out, and I'm gonna put that whole can in there. And
I think it would be fun too. I get in a rut and tend to use the same ones, like you say, kidney beans all the time for a certain recipe. But it would be kind of fun just to start experimenting. We may find another favorite we didn't even know that was available.
Yeah. Well, and there's pinto beans, and there's also these other ones that are really prominent in Central America called, they're just called small red beans. And they're delicious.
Small red
they're
beans.
real sweet and not real starchy, you know. So I didn't add any salt to this. You can, but I figured, you know, it's got so much flavor already. I try to keep the sodium down.
And from the chicken broth too, has some salt
well, actually,
in it sometimes.
This one's vegetable broth, but yep.
Oh, okay.
But yep. So then this, I just put this right inside here, and I've already steamed these just a little bit in about 1 inch of water in a pot on
And you could use the green, the red, the yellow. They're really pretty.
And then they're ready to go, and I just put them in a casserole dish that's oven proof. And then you just kind of fill them up as much as you want. And
could these be individually then frozen? Would you freeze them before you cook them, or
you know, I would
after?
cook them first. We're gonna bake these and for about half an hour at about 350. And then if you want, you can top it with a little cheese, like at the last 5 or 10 minutes, if you want to. And then once they're cooled, I would wrap them up individually in Ziploc bags and freeze them.
Oh, okay. So go ahead and cook them. Well, that saves time the next time you're ready to prepare them.
And you can add, obviously any other kind of vegetables you like. Mushrooms are also really good with this. And then,
if you made this, the filling,
Yep.
could this then be served with something else as a side dish?
absolutely, yeah, you could absolutely just cook this up, just heat it up. Or have it as a cold salad for like a picnic or something.
Oh,
And maybe I'd add just a little bit of lime to it right there at the end. But this is ready to go. You just put this
Cook
in
it
the
350 for about half an hour.
yeah,
Okay.
and it's done.
All right. And we have some here. This is really pretty when you use the 2 colors of peppers, I think,
Yeah,
too. So,
and I did top it with a little bit of cheese. Yeah.
and now there's 3 kinds of the freekeh. This is roasted green wheat, and this is the roasted green wheat, but it also has rosemary and tamari.
This one actually has tamari seasoning, and this one, the green bag, has rosemary and sage.
Oh, this one has rosemary
So that's
and
more
sage.
savory and delicious. That's great with like pork or chicken, that kind of thing, as a side dish or with those kind of ingredients. And this one has a little Asian flavor with a little organic soy sauce in it. But it's great, like it's good cooked up and used actually in cold salads with lots of vegetables. It's delicious.
Okay, and then the original.
Yep, and then the original is just plain. You can have that, just add, if you love to cook and spice stuff, you can just use that in any kind of recipe.
And just experiment
Yeah.
with your own thing. So, okay, we have this, and then we have a chili recipe. Which type did you use in it?
I just used the plain one.
Oh,
You can use the tamari too for that. It's delicious, believe it or not. Even though it's soy sauce, it's actually really flavorful in sort of Mexican recipes. And for the chili, you can do that in a crock pot. Just dump everything in there. You just
And make
take
large quantities.
Yeah. And you could just take the whole bag of freekeh and put it in 2½ cups of water. And you can add some fire roasted tomatoes to that, or some crushed tomatoes, a can of that, and a can or 2 of beans. And again, you can use some of the leftover corn that you might have from another recipe, and just throw that in there and let that just simmer for a while. And some garlic, and you're good to go.
And if you have your own favorite chili recipe, then you can just add to it.
Absolutely, and sometimes just for a little bit more tang, I add a little bit of tomato paste, kind of taste it as I go. But really, you can do no wrong with Mexican chili.
And you were going to show us about working with avocados that maybe we
yes.
might not know.
Avocado is really awesome. If you spice the chili the way I like to with a lot of cayenne pepper, which is delicious, and it boosts your metabolism too, by the way. Sometimes you want to cut the chili with some sour cream or that kind of thing. Well, for me, like I don't use a lot of sour cream. I'll use a little bit of non-fat yogurt instead.
Oh,
and it's great.
Just put a dollop on top.
Just to add a little creaminess. And then for avocado, for the topping, I don't know if you've ever done this, but you can cut the avocado in half, and then you sort of score it. You score it like this, and make it like a little grid pattern, and then you just sort of flip it inside out, like that.
No, I've never done it that way.
Yeah, and then you can just
top
spoon it out on top.
You can't ever have too much.
And that's a
also
really nice
yeah,
little,
and it cuts. It's not a high source of fat,
Right.
And it really adds some good flavor.
And then right as you're serving it, you can put a little bit of lime right on top. And I found these, you know, that the companies are really getting into this fiber and protein thing. They realize that the demand that the people want it. And they've got all kinds of really awesome flatbreads out there and tortillas. This one's some kind of delicious black bean whole wheat tortilla. So that's just one more vehicle to add for the vegetarians. Yep.
And I understand that the freekeh itself is certified organic.
It is. It comes in all natural and organic, and it's non-genetically modified for everyone who's interested in that. And it's cool. It's grown in California, actually. Yeah, it's a fairly new product.
This would be a recipe for the whole family, because you could also have, if somebody wanted some meat added to it, you could have that as a side dish to add to it. But this is great to talk about the importance of beans, which are such a good source of fiber too. And they also extend a recipe a lot.
Oh, absolutely, especially when in these days when people are trying to, you know, really get more bang for your buck. These are very economical. You know, it's only about $2 or $3 a serving, which is really good for families.
Well, it is. Thank you so much, Bonnie. This is really interesting. Karina, I've been a fan of yours for so long, but it was always with your line of scrapbooking paper and more paper craft type things. How in the world did you get into doing the fabric angle?
So actually, right after I started doing scrapbooking, I signed a contract to start doing fabric. So now I design fabric for Riley Blake Designs, and you can get my fabric at any quilt shop.
Oh, I'll start looking for it.
Thanks, that it'll be fun. So we have also a line of sewing patterns you can find, and that's what we're going to talk a little bit about today.
And you're really into helping young people, children, because you have children.
This is my stage of life, you know, and so, you know, I think if you're not doing what you love, and I love being with my children and showing them how to sew and craft, then, you know,
it's more fun too if you can do things like this. I remember learning to sew on a pillowcase, I think it was.
Yes.
How fun is that?
Yeah, my daughter actually did the pillowcase. My daughter's 10, and she started to sew, and I just looked at it and I said, there's got to be better projects to do.
And we're going to show a little purse, which would be so fun because they can make it and carry it right then, take it to school or take it to after school. So this is the size.
Yes.
Very small, but just can hold all of their things.
It's perfect for little things, a little paperback book, which at this age is a really cute thing, or just little doodads, or my daughters always have notebooks.
And as they get older, their cell phones and all their electronic
Let's
things.
not go there.
Okay. So you've actually created a pattern.
So there is a pattern for this. I am going to talk to you a little bit about ways that you can do this without the pattern. But if you do need the pattern, go to your local quilt shop, or you can go to KarinaGardner.com and you
get it online.
And you can get it online. So here is it. It's called the Bella Bag.
Okay.
And let's just start with talking about the pattern itself. It's actually a really, really easy pattern. This is a simple, the rectangle bag, and you're just going to place it on a fold, and then the handle for it. Now, okay,
two pieces.
I know, it's so great. If you do not have this pattern, you can just do a square rectangle.
And make it whatever size, a little bit longer, a little bit wider.
And once again with the handle, this is a kind of a specialized handle, but honestly, you could do just a straight strip of fabric and just do like a loose handle.
Oh, sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So for this Bella bag, you do need interfacing, and for some new sewers, that is a scary thing.
Well, there's so many to choose from too.
Yes. So you're going to want a lightweight interfacing. You're going to need 2 of the red. Okay, I only have one right there, but
Oh, okay.
It'll be okay. So, and then you'll need
Okay.
2 of, I've got the blue, and then you're gonna need 2 each of each color handle.
Okay.
Okay, so this is easy, 2 by 2 by 2,
2 by
right?
2 by 2, got it.
Okay, and then 2 of the interfacing, okay?
Cut the same, or do you suggest they cut it a little inside the seam line?
You know
like-
what, I don't get too stressed about it. I mean,
Just
this
don't worry
is
about
meant
it.
to be non-screw-upable, you
And
know?
fun.
So just cut it out the best you can. This is meant for beginners, and you can do it with your tweens and teenagers. So it's meant to be kind of easy.
Okay, I
and,
like that.
And if you did lay it on the back, you can see it might be a little bit bigger. You might have a little bit of edge. Just trim it off.
Just trim it? Oh,
It's
okay.
not that big of a deal.
This is very lightweight.
It is.
Good.
It's a featherweight Pellon, I think. So, so that's cutting it out. Okay, so once you're done cutting it out, you are going to iron on your interfacing. We'll just put this away.
And you know, the cutting out was always my least favorite.
It
I was always
always
so
is.
glad to get everything cut out, and then the sewing part came.
I agree.
I love that.
I agree. You know, my daughter, when she's done this project with me several times. And when we do it, I do all the cutting out, and she does all the sewing.
When I used to teach sewing for children, I did the same thing. Maybe it's because I knew I didn't enjoy it, so I didn't want them to get bored.
I know. So here is the pieces with the iron on. So I put it on the red pieces, and
It just stabilizes it and gives them a little better weight.
It gives it some weight. And then same deal with the red handle. That's where I put the pieces on. Now, if you have the pattern and you're doing this with a child, it is so much easier to go ahead and mark where they need to sew. So I just want to show you that. We've given you the mark lines on the pattern.
And this is what, only a 1/4 inch?
It's
something
you
like
know,
that,
it's
3/8.
something like that. Really, really, I can't remember quite what the pattern says, but it says it in there, what your seam allowance is. So what I do is, if you've got a child and they want to do it, you can just poke a hole right in the pattern and just make yourself a little mark here.
Because some things we take for granted, you know, if we've done it a long time, but that's so important so that they will be successful at doing this.
And that really helps them, because even if they're, even if you leave it like this, then it's easy for them to see. But if you are, you know, wanting to be proactive, you can just draw right on it.
Oh, yeah.
And that way you are giving them, I haven't marked the other ones,
Success.
success.
That's great.
Absolutely.
Good
Okay.
tip.
All right, so that's marking the pattern. So once you've done that, oh, I should show you guys what needs to be sewn together. Okay, so red pieces sewn together, okay.
Right sides together.
Right sides together. Same deal, blue pieces together, sewn together. Now, the handles are a little bit different. You're gonna do one red and one blue.
Oh.
Okay.
And there's only interfacing on one.
Only
one of the
interfacing on one.
piece.
Believe me, you do not want interfacing on both sides of these handles. When you turn them
They're too
out,
hard to turn.
you will be hating life. So, here we go. So here is a finished. You can see I've sewn together
Okay.
right there. And same deal here, okay? And then this is one that's sewn together.
Leave the tops open. That's
You're gonna leave those
sometimes
little
we've
tops.
forgotten
So you're gonna
that.
turn this right side out, and this is not fun. This is the worst part, in my opinion, of the entire project. Everything else is so simple, and you're just
Now, what
moving
about
along.
clipping and cutting? Or
Oh, yes. Thank you, Cheryl. So you are going to want to clip your curves. So you're just going to want to come in
in.
and just clip
Okay.
on all these edges. And I will
makes
admit,
it turn so much easier,
yes,
doesn't it?
and I tend to be kind of an OCD clipper. I'm like, clip, 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 clip. As long as you are not getting too close to that sew line, you're going to be great. So you're going to turn that inside out, and you should get something like this. Now, these are not top stitched. You're just going to want to come in and top stitch. Now, I have a great trick if you are using these like fun fabrics. This is actually fabrics from my Remember fabric line. If you're using fun fabrics and you know they're different colors, there is a fun trick I have, which is I put red thread on the top of my sewing machine, and then I'll put light blue or white in my bobbin. And that way you have a red top stitch line here.
Good tip for
And
all of us.
white or blue on the back. And that just makes it look a little more professional. So, okay, so then you're gonna top stitch it. Let me show you how to put the bag together. Now this is the part that it's like the magic of the whole thing. So what you're going to do is you're going to turn one of these pieces inside out, and I'm going to do it with the red. It has the interfacing on it, and that way I can usually also iron it at this point.
And this is a great way to teach kids. For instance, on the interfacing, you use a dry iron. You don't want steam. But when you're doing the finished bag, so you can really work in a lot of teaching tips.
You can. It's such a great project, and you really can't mess it up too much. I mean,
that's great.
So you're just going to put in one piece right side out into
I see.
the
This
other
is
piece.
basically the lining.
Exactly. Okay.
It's like a sandwich.
And then with your handles, you're going to want the red facing the red side.
Okay, red facing the red.
And blue facing the blue.
And it is sandwiched in between.
And it's sandwiched
okay.
between the two pieces.
Oh,
Let's see if you can see that okay. And then you're just going to pin it all the way around. So I like to match up my handles right here on the edge.
Aren't you glad they came up with long pins?
Oh my
when
gosh.
I learned to sew, you know, we were using those little short ones.
Oh my gosh, I had no idea. Yeah.
Well, back in the day.
So I would just do that to the whole thing. And then what you're going to do is just sew along the whole edge. Leave yourself a nice 2-inch area
to turn
it out.
And unfortunately, if we have forgotten that, you can take out a few stitches, and that's a learning experience too.
It's true. You know what? When my daughter took a sewing class, all they did a good portion of the time is pick out stitches, so they got used to it.
Well, yeah.
So, okay,
Now,
so here's a finished one. You can see I've got a little opening, and what I'm going to do is just turn it out. And this is like the magic part, like the kids love it. And
it's like, oh, I hope I got those handles facing the right way.
Exactly. I can't tell you how many times I have done them, especially when I'm doing them really, really quick. This is a little bit of it's a struggle to get it all out.
And I've been known to leave a bigger opening because I like hand stitching, so I don't mind doing that if I have to.
Guess what? You don't even have to hand stitch on this.
Oh, that's great.
Okay, so you'll see it comes out kind of like this.
Which looks like, did I do something wrong? It's hard to tell yet.
It is. So then you pull out the handles and you push in that inner
lining,
and then of course you're going to want to iron it out and make it look good. Now you'll remember you have that big hole, right? And you could hand stitch it if you're amazing like Sheryl. Or you can be lazy if you're like me and just fold it in and iron it down and just top stitch all the way around
And
the
I think
edge.
the top stitching just again gives it a more professional look.
Yeah, so that is the main part of the bag. Now the great part is that once you're done with the bag, you can embellish it. And I've seen some really great stuff. People have been putting on the internet lots of ways to do this Bella bag. I've seen it cut up and done piecing. I've seen big flowers on them. I've seen Halloween, Christmas bags like this, so it's really fun. For the pattern itself, we do have a flower. And what I have here is, and if you, once again, if you don't have this, you can either copy what I've done here, or I have a free Felicity flower on my site at KarinaGardner.com.
You can just download that.
You can download that and use that instead. So basically, you're just taking two pieces.
It's the same concept as making the bag, right to right.
Sew it around, turn it inside out, and then once you have several pieces together, I just like either hand stitch or I'll do a gathering stitch, pull it tight, hot glue.
You know, the yo-yos would be cute to put on here.
Yo-yos would be
Or some of their hair
darling.
bows. You could put it on with Velcro and they could take them on and off.
And you'll notice on this one, I don't know if you can see it, but what I've done is actually put it, I didn't sew it straight to the bag because this bag is reversible. So if the kid wants to turn it inside out and use it a different way, they can. And so if you sew it on, you won't be able to do that.
Good
so I
idea.
put this on a safety pin and just makes it
Great idea.
easier.
Well, Karina, thank you so much for showing us. Sometimes I think if we've sewn for years, we forget that there are just those basic tips that can make it so much fun for young people. And I want everybody to learn to sew. I've enjoyed it all my life. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed the show today. Next time on Creative Living, we'll begin a series of new shows featuring lots of interesting guests who are experts in different areas. I also want to remind you to sign up for our free Creative Living newsletter that comes out the first part of each month. Just go to our website at KENW.org and type in your email address. I especially want to thank you for letting us be a part of your television viewing these last few months, and remember to let your local public television station know that you appreciate them carrying Creative Living. And just a quick reminder that you can get all of the instructions, patterns, and recipes for most of the guests who've been on this series by going to our website and clicking on the booklet section. You can then download the entire 6800 series booklet or just the sections you're most interested in. And finally, if you ever have comments or suggestions or ideas for shows, you can email me at sheryl.borden@enmu.edu. I'd also like to ask you to become a fan of Creative Living on Facebook. Just go to facebook.com and in the search window type in Creative Living with Sheryl Borden. I hope you'll plan to join me next time for Creative Living.
We're very pleased to offer a new booklet that accompanies this series of Creative Living. This booklet is titled the 6800 Series, and it features a wonderful collection of ideas and information. And it's available free of charge on our website. Posted as a PDF file, you can simply download the entire booklet or just the segments you're most interested in. For your copy of this new booklet, go to our website at KENW.org and then click on Creative Living. Scroll down to the booklet section and you can click on the booklet or on any of the other booklets we have available online. We'd also like to invite you to sign up for our free e-newsletter. Just go to KENW.org and click on the Sign Up Now button and input your email address. Thank you.